So we're waiting for a decision, or at least the response from Judge Reinhardt, who's now reviewing, presumably, the Justice Department's proposed redactions to the Mar-a-Lago affidavit in the West Palm Beach, Florida, search of Mar-a-Lago, former President Trump's primary residence. The DOJ met Reinhardt's noon deadline. There are no other pending deadlines, so the judge's next move may be quick, or it may take several days or even weeks as this thing continues to play out. Now, Reinhardt, in a formal order this week, said that he may ultimately side with the government, which argues that the redactions will make the disclosure, quote, meaningless. Well, joining us now, retired Navy SEAL and former FBI agent Jonathan Gilliam. An old friend of mine. Jonathan and I, in case our viewers don't know, go back, way back to New York when I was a reporter for the local affiliate Fox 5 there. It's great to see you, man. It's been a long time. I'm so happy to have you on to talk about all this. And boy, there's a lot to talk about, right, Jonathan? I mean, we're anxiously awaiting the release of the affidavit, whatever that may be and whatever may come out of it, right? It could be something, it could be nothing at all. Nothing of substance. In your experience as a former federal agent, what would be protected in the document?
Well, first of all, let me just say it's very interesting because we're here together on this show. I haven't actually talked to you since you left New York and started doing your foreign correspondent work. Right, so we went from last time I saw you, New York was somewhat of a normal, safe place to live. That's gone. Right. You then went and spent time in a war zone to come back home to the United States, where there's now a front line, and we're talking about really a war on the American people here that's as subversive as anything you have seen in your travels overseas. So, when we look specifically at the affidavit, what you're going to see in there is their sworn testimony as to what the probable cause was to actually carry out this raid, why there was urgency. You're going to see them swear to these things, and that's why they don't want to give that out, because overall what you're going to be doing when they give that out, they're going to be giving the media, they're going to be giving Donald Trump sworn testimony that this is what was happening and this is why it was urgent. They then take that and they write the warrant with that affidavit, and then they go and do the search and the seizure. So as you can see, throughout the history of particularly this squad, this same squad that's investigated Donald Trump, it's been a nothing. It's been actually criminal on the side of the FBI and the DOJ, creating, falsifying evidence before with the Trump collusion raid. Coming out, we just had this memo that came out from the DOJ and Bill Barr, when he was Attorney General, saying that there was nothing there that showed any type of evidence to make them need to prosecute or go after Trump back in that time. So, they're playing a really slippery slope game here, because when the affidavit comes out and people start to see the totality of the evidence they had to go in there, it just doesn't add up to anything except for they hate Donald Trump.
Well, along those lines, earlier in the show, we talked about this Wall Street Journal article that basically states that the search on Mar-a-Lago had no legal basis, and there you see the headline there. What do you think? I mean, it sounds like you would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know if they're in talks already for the different stuff that the president has there, then there was no rush. I mean, the stuff had been there. The Trump administration had agreed with how it should be stored. And then ultimately, really, the President Trump is the ultimate declassifier, which, their claim is that they declassified this stuff before they left. And I think with the president, from what I gather, listening to Eric Trump, is that, he just likes to keep papers and mementos and important things that he believes is a personal thing for his career, and which all presidents and politicians will typically do that. He took those home with him and stored them in the proper way that you're supposed to store them. So, when I look at this, what I'm seeing is the same DOJ people. I'm not talking about Merrick Garland. I'm talking about the people that work in the DOJ. I'm talking about the people that work at the top of the FBI and the president, who obviously knew about this. Biden, if he tells you that he didn't know about it, he's either a liar are absolutely circumvented by his staff and the people who run the agencies for him. It's one of those two, and I'm assuming he knew. That's why he went on vacation so quickly. But basically, what you're seeing here again is the guilt of the left, the guilt of this particular group of people that apparently have no problem exposing who they are.
Yeah, you know, look, I have great respect for law enforcement, and I have great respect for the FBI, but people's trust in the FBI and the DOJ is really going down. In fact, this new poll, and we have about maybe less than a minute left, Jonathan, but I want to get your thought about this. A new poll from the Trafalgar Group shows that a majority of Republicans and independents say the FBI and DOJ have become just simply too political, too corrupt, and not to be trusted. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Listen, John, I trust you as a journalist, but I don't trust journalism. I don't trust the executives in media outlets and social media. I don't trust them to put out the truth. And it's the same thing here. People don't trust because they feel unedgy about this. They see something, even people who don't like Donald Trump. And what that is the same thing as when you're getting a story from somebody, or I was investigating a case. If the story doesn't add up, that there's something there. And in this case, if people take a step back and look at their repeating process, what they see is a leftist group in Washington, D.C., never Trumpers who are careerists, who collude together as a criminal enterprise to go after one innocent individual. And they are the ones who are truly the criminals. I think it's clearly evident that's the case. And one last thing, I wrote an op-ed about all this. For some strange reason, I can't get this op-ed published anywhere. And I find that very odd that the executives around this nation that with the biggest places where you can submit op-eds are afraid of the truth getting out about the criminal enterprise that exists at the top and at some levels in the FBI, DOJ, and the federal government.
Wow. Well, Jonathan, we love hearing from you, and I love talking to you, man. It's great to see you, brother. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
I'm glad God blessed you and kept you safe all this time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Jonathan Gilliam, good to see you.